Okay, welcome back to my dinner time. I have got a couple lovely pieces of fried chicken. I got a biscuit and some butter and honey. And I got a little bit of Bush's baked beans. I think they are the maple flavored maple bacon, I think. Anyway, I am pretty darn tired. I've had a pretty good day. I felt good today. I've ate a lot more today than I have in the previous days. I'm just pretty worn out. Being sick really takes it out of a person. So anyway, we got to get napkins with this fried chicken. So I'll be going to bed pretty soon. I'm already in my sleeping clothes. I've turned my heat off now for the night. Actually, I turned it down to 60. And to save a little bit on the heating bill, the electric bill. It's going to be gigantic. I'm afraid to even go online and look at it. It's terrible. Anyway, we're going to watch Dr. Grande today. I was going to watch on my Sumo, Jason's All Sumo channel, but unfortunately, his channel is not available. That's something you don't really see happening very often. So I don't know if he got shut down or not. Because like me, he's sharing copyrighted content in Grand Sumo. So I don't know. Some of my Grand Sumo highlight videos have got a copyright notice, and one even got blocked, but it's not a copyright strike is what I'm told. So anyway, I would never monetize that channel anyway because I do not own the Grand Sumo highlights, so I just like sharing them. Okay, we got both of our cameras running, so let's go ahead and find the last Dr. Grande. All harass, no brains. That was the last one I watched. Now we're going to watch the thing about Alec Baldwin. I know he's an actor. I don't know of anything he's in. I don't know if I've even seen him act. So did Alec Baldwin commit involuntary manslaughter? That's been in the news as of recent. So let's go ahead and click on it. The video is 13 minutes long. I like Dr. Grande.
If we want to create a more viable future for our kids, we need to find more sustainable ways of doing things.
Full screen it here.
That's why America's
Well, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question is, an update on the Rust shooting, including the charges filed against Alec Baldwin. Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing in this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I will put the link to Patreon in the description for this video.
Right, we got two chicken legs.
Look at the background of this case, including the alleged
chicken
crime
was
and
banquet
analysis.
banquet
In
chicken.
October of 2021, Alec Baldwin was functioning as an actor,
5 of
producer,
chicken
in a low-budget western titled Rust.
Okay.
The movie was being shot on the Bonanza Creek Ranch outside of Santa Fe, New Mexico. On October 21, the filming of the movie was on day number 12. Not long after lunch on the set, Alec Baldwin was rehearsing scene number 118, which featured his character, Arland Rust, drawing a single-action revolver from a shoulder holster as he sits in a pew inside a small church. The revolver was a replica of a Colt single-action Army, chambered in .45 long. It was loaded by the armor and prop master, Hannah Gutierrez Reed, and left on a cart. Apparently, Hannah believed she loaded the revolver with dummy rounds, that is, cartridges that do not contain propellant. In reality, one of the cartridges was a live round. The assistant director, Dave Halls, picked up the weapon from the cart. He was responsible for checking it. Dave later said that he did not check all the chambers, or he could not remember if he did. As Dave was handing the gun to Alec Baldwin, he declared it to be a cold gun, meaning it was not loaded with cartridges containing propellant. Alec Baldwin
Good.
started rehearsing without checking the weapon. He believed that what Dave was telling him was true. It was a cold gun. As crew members were repositioning a camera to remove a shadow, Alec talked about how he was going to draw the weapon. He said, "So I guess I'm going to take this out, pull it, and go bang." Alec pointed the weapon at the cinematographer, Lena Hutchins. At about 1:48 p.m., Alec Baldwin fired a single round from the revolver, which struck Lena, passed through her, and injured the director, Joel Souza. Elena did not survive. Joel was treated for his injuries and released. Moving forward to January 9, 2023, prosecutors in New Mexico announced charges of involuntary manslaughter against Alec Baldwin and Hannah Gutierrez-Reed. The two individuals are charged in the alternative.
I had no
means that the
idea
jury
what
will
actually
determine
happened
not
here.
only their level of guilt, but under which definition of involuntary manslaughter they were guilty. One definition of the charge requires proof of underlying negligence. It includes the misdemeanor charge of negligent use of a firearm, which will likely be merged with the other charge. The second definition requires proof that there was more than simple negligence involved. This has a penalty attached to it, which is referred to as the firearm enhancement. Both definitions of involuntary manslaughter are punishable by a sentence of up to 18 months in prison, but the firearm enhancement leads to a mandatory sentence of 5 years in prison. First Assistant Director Dave Halls pleaded guilty to negligent use of a deadly weapon and agreed to testify against the other two defendants. This
Again,
plea agreement includes a suspended
I
sentence
should remember
and
to
6
put my
months of
bib on.
probation. The prosecution stated that only 3 people handled the revolver. Dave Halls, who again has pleaded guilty for his role, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, who loaded the revolver, and Alec Baldwin, who fired the revolver. If even one of these people had properly performed their job, Elena would never have been killed. The state believes that the tragic killing is an accident and a crime simultaneously. Now moving to my analysis. Alec Baldwin has made a number of statements since he shot and killed Elena Hutchins. He said that he was told by people who were in the know, and even inside the state, that it was highly unlikely he would be criminally charged. It's reasonable to believe that these charges took Alec Baldwin by surprise, based on his statement. Alec Baldwin has denied pulling the trigger of the weapon. Alec is arguing that he pulled the hammer back and let it go, which caused the revolver to discharge. This type of discharge would only be possible with this type of revolver if there was some type of mechanical problem. The revolver that Alec used was a replica of a Colt single-action Army.
Or
The
if
hammer on
the
this weapon has 4 different
trigger
positions
was tied back, I
at
think.
rest: 1/4 cock, 1/2 cock, and full cock. So once the operator pulls the hammer back to 1/4 cock, the hammer would not drop without the trigger being pulled. The same is true with the half cock and the full cock. Once the hammer reaches those positions, it's not going to drop by itself. The trigger must be pulled.
I hate these stupid commercials.
In looking at the 4 positions of the hammer, Alec is not arguing that the gun fired with the hammer at rest. In theory, under his argument, it would have fired at either 1/4,
That's pretty good.
1/2, or full cock without the trigger being pulled. The FBI tested these various positions. At 1/4 cock, the hammer would not drop without the trigger being pulled, and the gun did not discharge even when the trigger was pulled. The hammer did not generate enough force to detonate the primer. At 1/2 cock, the hammer would not drop without the trigger being pulled, and when the trigger was pulled, the cylinder was not properly aligned. Therefore, the firing pin did not strike the primer. Again, no discharge. With the hammer being in the full cock position, the gun would not discharge without the trigger being pulled. The implication is straightforward. There was no mechanical problem with the revolver, therefore Alec Baldwin must have pulled the trigger. The trigger pull issue may not be a big deal for Alec. It's possible that he was simply mishandling the weapon and accidentally pulled the trigger. Like when he went to pull the hammer back with his thumb, he pulled the trigger with his index finger as he tightened his grip. This is not unheard of for people who are inexperienced with single-action revolvers. Now moving to the question of guilt. Alec Baldwin enjoys the presumption of innocence, but of course the state of New Mexico believes he is guilty. Is Alec Baldwin guilty of involuntary manslaughter? Let's take a look at the evidence both for and against the idea that he's guilty, starting with the inculpatory factors. Before the shooting, there were safety problems on the set of Rust, and Alec Baldwin was a producer for the movie. He may have set a tone that safety was not important. Alec Baldwin pointed a firearm at another human being and pulled the trigger. His violation of 2 basic safety rules caused the death of another human being. Alec Baldwin said he never pulled the trigger when it is clear that he did. Moving to the exculpatory factors, it is not unheard of for some firearm safety rules to be violated on movie sets. Some scenes are difficult to do without breaking some rules. Alec Baldwin is not a firearms expert, which he has demonstrated many times. For instance, during an interview, he referred to a semi-automatic pistol as a contemporary gun and has repeatedly referred to cartridges as bullets. Given that he is not an expert, it is not his job to decide what safety rules can be modified for movie sets or if they should be modified at all. In my opinion, safety rules should never be violated, period. But Alec Baldwin may have been following the advice of movie industry professionals. He did not know enough about guns to know that he was getting bad advice. An armorer, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, was hired to give Alec Baldwin advice. He trusted her advice. She was supposed to be the professional in the area of firearms. Dave Halls told Alec Baldwin that the revolver was safe, and Alec believed that there were no live cartridges on the set of the movie. Alec Baldwin asserted that he was only pointing the gun at Helena because she directed him to do so. He tried to make it seem as though both he and Helena were victims. Alec stated that he did not hire the crew. His only responsibilities were casting and the script. He was not aware of any safety issues, so he was not creating an unsafe environment on the set. Another potential exculpatory factor for Alec Baldwin is the level of potential guilt of Hannah Gutierrez-Reed and Dave Halls. The guiltier those two appear, the better this is for Alec Baldwin. Like he can say, those are the people who are responsible. Why are you looking at me? As I mentioned, Dave Halls pleaded guilty to a low-level charge, so his guilt has been established. In addition, he allegedly disregarded safety protocols while filming a series in 2019. That same year, he was fired from a movie after a crew member was wounded by a firearm that negligently discharged on set. Now, as far as Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, she didn't exactly have a great reputation for safety either. The Rust movie production was only her second time as lead armorer. The first one didn't go too well. It was a Western titled The Old Way. The lead actor for that movie, Nicolas Cage, walked off the set after Hannah discharged a weapon without warning. So again, Dave Halls pleaded guilty, and Hannah's case doesn't look too good. Both of those elements are helpful to Alec Baldwin. Moving to the last exculpatory factor, the prosecution admits that they do not know how the live cartridges ended up on the movie set, and they may never know. Was it intentional? Was somebody trying to sabotage the movie to spare audiences a horrible experience? If so, that weighs in Alec Baldwin's favor. Not knowing how the live cartridges ended up on set is analogous to unidentified DNA being found in a murder scene. If it cannot be determined who contributed the DNA,
It sounds like
then
the
any
last
reconstruction
episode of
the
Perry
crime
Mason,
is going to be inaccurate.
the original
There
TV
will
show.
always be a missing piece. When considering the evidence, do I think that Alec Baldwin is guilty
think
of
of the name of it,
involuntary
but-
manslaughter? No.
Same
I do not think
exact
he is
thing
guilty
happened,
beyond
and the
a
director
reasonable doubt.
was
Alec
accidentally
Baldwin's
killed.
central argument is
but
that
intentionally.
checking the weapons was not his job. Through his inexperience with firearms, he could argue that if he did try to check the firearms, it may have led to more problems, like a false sense of safety. What good is it for him to check the weapons if he has no idea what he's looking for? This doesn't excuse him from the basic safety rules, but it's not a terrible argument in his defense. I think that violating the basic firearm safety rules in the situation made Alec Baldwin morally responsible, but again, I don't believe he's guilty of a crime. Now moving to my final thoughts. Even though I think that Alec Baldwin should have a better understanding and respect for firearms, his main job is that of an actor. At some level, actors who are inexperienced with weapons are dependent on the firearm safety experts. Actors must work with all types of dangerous equipment and objects there is no way they can understand the safety rules for all of those. If Alec Baldwin had negligently detonated a hand grenade that was declared safe, nobody would be wondering why he wasn't following the safety rules for hand grenades. If he had run somebody over with a bulldozer because he pushed the wrong lever, nobody would be saying Alec Baldwin's lack of knowledge about heavy machinery is irresponsible or criminal. I think the lesson learned in this case is that actors should never forget that when working with real guns, they are morally responsible to understand how to handle them. The movie industry may tell actors something like, "You can trust us, you don't need to check the firearms, we know what we're doing." The bottom line is this: if a real gun is on a movie set, that doesn't change the fact that the gun is real. Therefore, the rules for handling it remain the same. Just because somebody is working on a movie doesn't mean they can determine what the rules are. The movie industry is sometimes called magical, but guns have a way of following the rules of physics and not magic. That's my update on the Rust shooting. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They always generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found my analysis of this topic to be informative. Thanks for watching.
Well, thank you, Dr. Grande. Anyway, that was a good dinner. I've got enough chicken and beans and biscuits to eat fried chicken for the next 3 days. So that was pretty good. I could have ate an extra piece, but that was fun. That was very satisfying. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will try to come back every week and do a breakfast, lunch, and dinner conversational thing, I guess. That's the goal for now. So anyway, if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.